Hi guys, I'm Pete aka On a Retro Tip and welcome to another 10 Facts video. This time we're looking at a suggestion from Champion 2D Rob and a series that most Sega fans adore, Golden Axe. The first game, developed in-house by Sega's Team Shinobi, was released at arcades in 1989 and came to the Mega Drive and Genesis in December the same year, although not until November 1990 in Europe, and was subsequently ported to numerous other systems. A side-scrolling hack-and-slash beat-em-up, Golden Axe takes place in a medieval fantasy world in which three heroes set out on a quest to retrieve the legendary Golden Axe from the evil Death Adder, who has kidnapped the king and his daughter and intends to use the Golden Axe's power to assume rule over the kingdom. The three brave warriors who set out to defeat him are a battle-axe wielding dwarf, Gilius Thunderhead, whose twin brother was killed by Death Adder's soldiers. Second is barbarian axe battler wielding a two-handed broadsword, looking to avenge his mother's murder. Last is longsword wielding Tyrus Flare, an Amazonian woman whose parents were both killed by Death Adder. In addition to regular attacks, the player can collect bottles of magic, which can be then used to cast magic spells, which vary in strength depending upon how many have been collected. The most powerful of which will fill the entire screen, laying waste to any nearby enemies. The three heroes returned for a sequel, Golden Axe 2, released solely for the Mega Drive, which saw release in Japan and Europe in 1991 and on the Genesis in North America in 1992. A great sequel and one that many prefer over the original, with similar gameplay and some great music. Next in 1992 came Golden Axe: The Revenge of Death Adder, an arcade exclusive. This game features an entirely new cast of playable characters and some gorgeous graphics. In June 1993, not long after the release of Revenge of Death Adder, came Golden Axe 3. As with Golden Axe 2, this was only released for the Mega Drive, but this time a Japanese exclusive. Many took this as a blessing, as the game seems like a step backwards for the series and features some pretty uninspiring graphics. So, whether or not you've played any of the games in the series, or maybe even grew up loving them as I did you know these 10 facts? Someone at Team Shinobi must have been on the piss, because most of Golden Axe's enemies seem to be named after alcoholic drinks. Some are obvious, like Sergeant's Molten Hop and Colonel Bitter, but some are named after actual brands. Henninger is named after a German lager of the same name, albeit with one fewer N, and General Hartland's namesake is a Bavarian black lager, again of the same name. Zuberoka is the name of the common Amazonian enemies in the game, named after popular Polish bison grass vodka Żubrówka. These Amazonian warriors come in various colours. Storchinaya in blue is all too similar to Russian vodka Stolichnaya, and her palette-swapped red and green twins Lemonaya and Strobaya are also mere letters away from Lemonaya and Stolovaya, again brands of vodka. The Golden Axe logo is actually far more ingenious than you may have realised. The story of the Golden Axe series centres around a legendary weapon called, of course, Golden Axe, that grants its user great power. The Japanese letters making up the game's logo actually roughly translate to battle axe. Not only that, but there's a sword, hammer and axe hidden in the kanji. Anyone willing to spend enough coins to see the ending of Golden Axe at the arcade was greeted with an unusual but light-hearted ending. The titular Golden Axe flies from Death Adder's hands, landing in his stomach, and the player frees the king and queen. Then we cut to the interesting bit, the game's characters bursting from an arcade cabinet called Great Axe and running off into the real world, all while some uncharacteristically whimsical music plays. Brilliant. Golden Axe 2 had what some would argue was a better soundtrack than the original and was composed by Naofumi Hataya. He later went on to compose music for numerous Sega classics, including Sonic CD and several subsequent Sonic games, Nights into Dreams, rhythm games Space Channel 5 and Samba de Amigo, the Yakuza series, and many more, as well as going on to compose for Golden Axe 3. Besides the standard trilogy of Golden Axe games, there were a few spin-offs, which changed up the gameplay style. One such game is Axe Battler: A Legend of Golden Axe on the Game Gear, which is a cross between an action game and an RPG. In Axe Battler, the player walks around the overworld looking for towns and dungeons to progress, although the game does seem to lack any substance in terms of equipment and levelling up, as it doesn't feature experience points and has some rather awkward mechanics. The player traverses the world in a top-down view, similar to the 2D Zelda games, but random encounters will switch the screen to a side-on viewpoint. Visiting towns and training centres will award the player with new skills for combat segments in dungeons, and dungeons will award the player with an item which allows progression through the story, again much like Zelda. Often criticised for being too much like Zelda 2 on the NES, Axe Battler was a good idea poorly executed. Speaking of Zelda clones, one Golden Axe spin-off that was a blatant copy of Zelda was Golden Axe Warrior on the Master System. Many people actually prefer this game to the original Zelda, as the Master System affords the game a wider colour palette so it looks a bit better, and there are some improvements in the game world, but again, any ties to Golden Axe are thin at best. You do meet some familiar characters such as Gilius Thunderhead, from whom you can obtain thunder magic, and such encounters feature the Golden Axe theme music. Other than that, besides a few of the Golden Axe series enemies, there isn't much to link Golden Axe Warrior to the main series. Several Golden Axe inspired games have been made using Senile Team's open source engine Beats of Rage, but perhaps the most notable is Golden Axe Myth. Developed by a team of Argentinian Golden Axe fans, the game features entirely original artwork and 4 playable characters, the 3 heroes from the original game, plus a young Death Adder. Golden Axe Myth contains an impressive amount of content with story scenes, branching paths and unlockable characters. Several new items and moves have been added as well. The visual style is quite the departure from Golden Axe 2, featuring graphics more akin to arcade beat-em-ups like Knights of Valor or an SNK fighter. According to Elizabethan English literature, a 2-legged dragon with a rooster's head is called a cockatrice. The Golden Axe developers either didn't know this or didn't care, as they decided to call theirs Chicken Leg. Also worth noting is that Chicken Leg, the pink cockatrice from the first game, first appeared as an enemy in Altered Beast, which was also developed by Sega's Makoto Uchida. Conversely, the game's instruction manual calls these creatures Bizarrians. Makoto Uchida was a big fan of action movies and was heavily influenced by them when designing the concept for Golden Axe, particularly and most obviously Conan the Barbarian. When enemies die in Golden Axe, their dying screams are actually digitised screams taken from popular action movies, most notably Conan the Barbarian and Rambo: First Blood. Several Golden Axe characters have made cameo appearances in other games. Axe Battler, Gilius Thunderhead and Tyrus Flare all appeared in the arcade version of Alien Storm on one of the in-game TV screens. Gilius alone makes a second appearance as a member of a panel of judges that rate the player's score. He's also a playable character in Sega Superstars Tennis and Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, the latter featuring a Golden Axe inspired level called Adder's Lair. So those are my 10 Golden Axe facts, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.